Hello, this is Byron Henderson of layoutvision.com. I'm just going to put together here a very crude video to describe the way that I draw benchwork fills in the 3rdPlanIt program to leave an open space in the center. As in this case, we have an HO scale layout, standard gauge, about 8 feet by 5.5 feet. This comes from a thread on the Model Railroader forums. And I like to leave the open area in the center of this to really show the access for the layout and how you would be able to duck under, get inside, and then operate the entire layout from inside. So to draw these shapes, I use of the drawing tools, I use a polygon tool. That's this selection right here to draw a polygon. I use the freehand polygon tool. By clicking on that, now you can see the change to the cursor. Now I'm going to come up here to this area and I'm going to start right on top of a grid line, and that'll become obvious why that is in a moment. So click once and you start drawing a line. By holding down the Shift key while you draw, you can constrain that to a vertical or horizontal line. And that can be important. You'll see here I'm using that constrained drawing technique to make these lines square with the outside edges of this alcove that this layout is planned to go into. I'm just going to continue on around the outside rectangle here, and now coming back up to the point where I began, I'm going to click again and then come back in right on top of that line I drew first. And the reason for that is going to become obvious in a few moments. And now I'm just going to click inside here in this shape to make the shape of the inner edge of the benchwork. Again, I hold the Shift key down while I draw to constrain that line to a vertical or horizontal line. This is just very quickly and crudely drawn in. For a client project or a magazine article or something like that, I would be a bit more careful. And in this case, I'll show you also in a moment how we can adjust these lines after drawing. Now I'm going to come back up here to near the starting point, double click, and the polygon is formed. Now as you can see it now, it has lines, and this seam that I started with, this seam right here, is very obvious. And I might not want that in the final drawing, and I might also want the benchwork to be a more pleasing color rather than a white fill. So the way that we solve this is by holding down the Control key. You can see the cursor changes to a plus symbol to show that I'm holding down that Control key. Double click on the edge of this shape that I drew, and I get the menu to modify this contour plane. Appearance is the tab that's open. That's the tab I want. First thing I'm going to do is make the edges of this polygon I drew invisible, because I don't want to see that seam that we pointed out right here. I don't want to see that seam. Also, I'd like to choose a different color for the interior of this. I happen to use this particular color right here that I saved as a custom color. It's these red, green, and blue values right here. I like this. It's kind of a pleasing to the eye green. So I'm going to go ahead and say OK to that using that color. Again, now I've defined the fill is solid and this color that I chose. When I click OK and now click anywhere away from the polygon, you can see that that seam that was here is really invisible. It's still there. If I mouse over the edges of the polygon, you can see the line. But what I've done now is create this empty area in the middle. The grid shows through from underneath. So this makes it very obvious that this is an access area. So I like to do that just to help confirm what these different shapes mean, and that this truly is an open area for access. Now maybe I want to clean this area up here. I'd like to have the edge of this benchwork a little closer to the track here. So I can double click this polygon anywhere on the edge, and you see I have all of these blue handles. By selecting one or more of these, I can move the line around. I can right click anywhere to add a vertex and then move that around. So this creates a way to tailor the benchwork shape to exactly what I need. Hope this has been useful in learning how to use 3rdPlanIt to draw these open benchwork sections in 2D. There are probably multiple ways to do it in 3rdPlanIt. This is the way I have learned and I'm comfortable with. I hope you found it useful.